All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. All right, real quick. So, early this morning, a brother posted, no, actually a brother from around my hometown, a brother posted on his social media, and it said that basically Putin, actually the picture and the thumbnails actually the picture he posted, and it says basically Putin, Russia, uh basically it says the article, it says Putin signs into law strategic agreement with Iran. Now in a lot of the articles it says ratified, and we go into the word ratified, it means confirmed, because I think they made this agreement or pact or was talking about it first was in January of this year. And I guess along the line, they know whatever, working it up and all that, and they came to fruition, I think, in March. And then now he just signed it into law. Putin just signed it into law. Like now it's official. And you see in the thumbnail, it says what? Russia and Iran are now officially allies. Now, granted, we already looked at them as allies already, especially according to prophecy. But now, just for the fact that they're saying officially we're now allies. So what that means is, if someone goes against Iran, it's gonna be like they're going against Russia. Now I don't know the ins and outs of the deal, because I know one part I did hear that they said that they said that Russia wouldn't involve themselves militarily, but involve themselves in another way. But this supposed pact is supposed to last for like 20 years. All right, so that's 2 decades. Now, granted, we don't have that much longer in this bitch, but at the end of the day, as it goes, as of right now, the deal is for 20 years. Now, this is from I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Mer News Agency, which is actually an Iranian news platform, and it says Putin signs into law strategic agreement with Iran. Now, if you know anything about the scriptures, to all the people that's new, when you go into the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, and when it talks about Gog and Magog, that land, that's talking about Russia, and the Iranians is talking about when it mentions the Persians. So you know, like the Persians, it's talking about the Iranians, aka the Elamites, and those Persians, aka the Iranians in Iran, they're getting more and more in sync with Russia, which is what is a prophecy. Remember, the Lord said what his word is faithful and true. So now you're gonna now said they're now officially allies, and you also, I did a video. Yes, you also have Russia also in Africa, giving them assistance and whatnot in like 10, 12 countries, which also goes into what? And one of those countries being Libya, which is also mentioned in the scriptures in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, when it talks about that great company that's with Gog and Magog, which is Russia. So it says, and I'm gonna read a couple articles, because this article is kind of short. See if they go into depth in any other platforms. But it says Vladimir Putin signed a law to ratify the strategic partnership agreement with Iran on Monday, according to Sputnik, which what is today. Today is Monday. But first, for starters, let's go into the word ratify. Now, the word ratify is from the mid 14th century. Ratifian, it means confirm, approve, sanction, validate by formal act of approval. Confirm, approve, literally fixed by reckoning, fixed by calculation, determine, approve, certain, sure, valid. So basically, that's why I put in the title. It says what? Confirmed. Because now, that's why I said now they're officially allies. Because whatever that pact was, it is now been made official on this day. And it's funny because you just had the Pope that died today or yesterday, what have you. The whole bullshit with Easter. The whole thing was going on, like just the timing of everything. You know, you had Iran and America meeting for the last 2 weekends, not really getting nowhere. And America still sending shit over to the Middle East. You got the whole thing warring with China and America with the tariffs. You got Hong Kong that's saying they stopping some kind of the shit with the parcel postal shits from All right, Lord willing, it's still good. Okay. So yeah, basically it says ratify means to confirm, approve, basically to make it official. So go back to the article. So yeah, so it says, yeah, Vladimir Putin signed a law to ratify the strategic partnership with agreement with Iran on Monday, according to Sputnik. The 20-year strategic partnership pact was initially agreed upon by Putin and his Iranian counterpart, Masoud Pezeshkian, early this year in January. Yep, in January. It said earlier this year in January. The signing of the law by Putin marks the final step in a ratification, which basically ratification means what? Confirmation, in a ratification process of this long-term agreement with Iran. So 20 years. So 20 years from now, it'll be what? 2045? Now, great, like I said, hopefully Esau's kingdom ain't going to be around for that much longer. All right? Because, things are brewing up right now. They're going to bring up the MOTB. Because if it happens, we be here another 20 years, I'll be damn near 60. So Lord willing, we not here that long, and Lord willing, this shit about to go down real soon. Sooner than 20 years, of course. It says this move exemplifies the strengthening of diplomatic ties between Russia and Iran, with the two nations committing to a partnership that spans 2 decades. It said the Russian State Duma, the lower house of parliament, had ratified treaty with Iran on April 8th. You see that? And it's funny. So, and who's out here gunning for Iran? The small hats, the 48ers in America. Talk about their nuclear program. Now you have it. Now they're buddy more with Russia. And America and the small hats, they got to see that it's not really a good thing for them. All right. Now, granted, we know this is prophecy, so it's not good for none of these heathens. But at the end of the day, as far as they know it right now, as what they're saying is that the people that their enemy has linked with a stronger superpower. Like you have the small hats, they got America, and now Iran, they have Russia. And now they made it official to where, like, if somebody do something to Iran, and who's threatening to do something to Iran? America and the 48ers, the small hats. Those small hats over there in the land of Israel. They're the ones talking about attacking Iran. They're the ones talking about, we need to do this about Iran's nuclear program. The whole world is not doing that. It's just these two motherfuckers. All right? You have a whole dissension between America and NATO and the EU. So come on, like, where we at? This is all prophecy. This is Ezekiel 38 chapter playing out before our very eyes. Be a guard unto them, a 20-year pact, ratified, made official. So I'm finna get it. So this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1, and it says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against them. So that's going back then about the land of Magog, but if you fast forward to now, that land of Gog and Magog is Russia. And it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Oh, excuse me. Verse 3, and it says, and say, thus saith the Lord, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Because remember, Russia are Edomites too. So it's not like once America is destroyed, that Russia going to have, they're going to be on top. No, they're all going down together. And it's funny, they're all going down together while they're fighting against each other. Because now remember, you Satan's house divided. Remember, Russia are Edomites. Those are so-called white people too. America are Edomites. The small hats are Edomites. This is one nation. So, and these are the nations that are superpowers. These are nations that are big in the world of superpowers. Verse 5 of Ezekiel chapter 5, Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5, it says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield. Oh, excuse me, actually, I didn't read verse 4. Verse 4 of Ezekiel chapter 38, and it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army. And that's what's happening right now. Everybody's getting ready for war. The Russia, America, the people that's getting legal. Russia got Iran, they getting ready for war. Cause don't sleep. Remember, remember the small hats in America, they still just fighting militia groups. Wait till they have to fight wait till they have to fight the big dogs, man. And that's why they're trying to hurry up and attack Iran's nuclear program now. Because as more time goes on, they're just progressing more and more, enriching more and more, which is also through the will of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. That's why they can't stop it. See, they wanted to been attack Iran, but they can't just attack Iran. And now you have Iran and Russia officially made allies. Come on. Bring all thine army, horses, and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And we go into the NLT of Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 4. It says, I will turn you around and put hooks in your jaws to lead you out with your whole army, your horses and charioteers, and full of armor, and a great horde armed with shields and swords. Now those modern day shields and swords are what? These nuclear missiles. Now, granted, they also, you got Iran. You got Russia with their regular troops and all that. But everybody's now getting prepared for air wars in the air. And that's where Yahawashi is going to come down, is in the air. So in the midst of all of them fighting back and forth in the air, Yahawashi is going to come back to the earth. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5, it says, Persia. Now we're going to Persia. Those are the Iranians today. Present day Iranians. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So what? Remember, Russia now is by the mercenary group by the name of the Wagner Group, which is a mercenary group out of Russia who's in league with the government. They're now in Africa giving them shit and backing them up and giving them resources and making a pact with them, making a bond with them. Which is also according to this very scripture I'm reading right here. So it goes into verse 5 in the NLT. It says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya will join you too with all their weapons. And that's what's happening right now. They're going to join Russia, Gog and Magog, that great company. The Iranians, the Iranians are the Persians, the Iranians, the so-called Africans, the other Islamic countries over there in the Middle East, Afghanistan, what do you got? Afghanistan, Iraq. So you can probably throw Syria in there. This is all brewing. Every day this is brewing more and more, and it's getting more and more hot. It's getting more and more tense. And every day that passes, these devils and especially these Americans, even though that they don't, you have some Americans that keep up with these things. They know that this shit is getting bad. To the ones that's really paying attention. If you really understood what's going on, you would know how serious the severity of this is. I'm going to jump down to verse 7. And it says, it's Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 7. It says, Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Now it's all about to the Gog and the Magogs. All right, that great company. Who is that great company? The Iranians, the Africans. There's that Wagner Group, which is the mercenary group out of Russia. They said that they're in like 12 countries in Africa right now. You know what I'm saying? Doing their thing. Building them up, being a guard unto them, as the scriptures say. Now you mean to tell me that all of a sudden? So Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 7 in the NLT, it says, Get ready, be prepared. Keep all the armies around you mobilized and take command of them. So what? That's what he's doing right now. That's what Russia's doing right now. That's what Gog and Magog is doing right now. They're preparing that great company, man. And who are they going to go up against? America, the small hats, NATO, the EU. And then you have the EU, NATO, and all these motherfuckers go against the whore, which is America. Which ties into what? Revelation, the 17th chapter. We're talking about the beast shall hate the whore. They're gonna burn him up. What do you think is happening right now? Why do you think there's so much dissension between America, NATO, and the EU? The whole thing with the tariffs, the whole thing with the travel bans, those are European countries, which are also Edomites, which goes to show what? Saints house divided, how shall it stand? How can it continue like this? How can a kingdom and a nation that is of this kingdom, which are the Edomites, and they're at each other's throats, how can this kingdom continue to last? It can't. And now we're seeing it coming to its very end. Speaking of which, might as well read that. Oops. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 25, and it says, "And Yahawashi knew their thoughts, and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation." Now, this kingdom, what is this kingdom? This kingdom is what? Esau's kingdom. Those Russians are Edomites, Americans are Edomites, those small hats are Edomites, the EU, NATO, they're Edomites. All right, so this is one nation of people from one man who is Esau, which goes under the nation of Edom. They're all Edomites, and look how they're at each other's throats right now. And it says, Yahushua said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. This is the house of Edom. Now, granted, yeah, they live on the other side of the world, but they're still the same nation of people. Just like how you had Jake, that was in different parts of the world, but still had the curses on them, was against each other, evil eye towards their brother, their neighbor, which is their fellow Israelites. Now you have this with even domestic issues within America and probably within them other EU countries too. As far as being against the government, you got a lot of people in America, a lot of Edomites that's against Trump. You got the court blocking things that he once done, the Supreme Court, I think. So you just have a bunch of division amongst Esau. And I actually saw something. Hold up. I see something. So in the same article from the Iranian news platform, one of the articles, one of the related joints, it says Iranian diplomacy shines amid American divisions. Let me see what they're talking about. See when this article came out. And this article came out in April 19th, which is what? Was it 2 days ago? Would that be like Friday? No, excuse me. That would have been Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Because Saturday, yeah. Yesterday was the 20th. Yeah, Saturday. Yep, that was Saturday. So it says Iranian diplomacy shines amid American divisions. It says, amid the complexities of the international scene, Iran emerges as a party with a cohesive diplomatic vision supported by internal unity and robust external engagement, while the U.S. administration grapples with divisions that hinder its abilities to formulate a unified stance. Tell me, saints how divided. Elam, those are not Edomites, those are Elamites. Those are so-called. And it says that, and if it's America, which is one of the kingdoms of Esau, one of the branches of Esau's kingdom, it says, amid the complexities of the international scene, Iran emerges as a party with a cohesive diplomatic vision. Let's see what cohesive means. Cohesive means, it says, of or causing the quality of adhering together, capable of sticking, to cleave together, to be coherent or consistent, assimilated form of come together, adhere. So basically what? They're together. Capable of sticking, adhering together. It says to cleave together. So it says that Iran, it has a cohesive, basically a durable and together. What it says, a cohesive diplomatic vision. So that means everybody has the same vision over there. It says supported by internal unity and robust external engagement, while the U.S. administration, which is talking about what, Trump, it says, while the U.S. administration grapples with divisions that hinder its ability to formulate a unified stance. So it's basically saying that, yo, America all divided. They don't know what they want to do. They're not all on the same page. All right? Which goes to what? Saints how divided, it shall come to desolation. It said if a kingdom be divided against in itself, that same kingdom gonna come to desolation. So what do you think about that happening to America? What do you think about that happening to Esau's kingdom? All right? So it says these dynamics make the Rome negotiations a critical juncture, not only for addressing the nuclear issue, but also for highlighting how Iran's active diplomacy can serve as a model for navigating global challenges. Iran entered these negotiations with confidence rooted in its wise leadership and internal cohesion, contrary to a narrative that attempt to portray the Islamic Republic system as fragmented. So which is probably Esau, probably America saying that. Fragment. It said the decision to participate in the talks was made through institutional consensus, reflecting consultative mechanisms that prioritize the unity of the Islamic system as a strategic imperative. This cohesion is clearly evident in the performance of the Iranian negotiating team, which operates in harmony under the leadership of Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. As a senior representative of the Islamic Republic, bolstered by the trust of state institutions, this unity is not merely a negotiating tool, but an expression of a clear vision aimed at safeguarding national interests, regardless of the outcome of the dialogue. So basically saying that we're going to be together. But Esau's kingdom is not that. It's a bunch of division amongst, especially America. It says in contrast, which is the opposite, in contrast, the U.S. administration suffers from internal divisions that weaken its position. Hold up. So now going back to Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, now it says, and Yahawashi knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Hey, Israel, we know that firsthand. Look what happened to when our nation, our kingdom was divided, when our kingdom split. It was all hell. It's been hell ever since. You come to desolation, but now that's about to happen to Esau. But now, look, now it's addressing someone a little more personal. Verse 26, and it says, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Now, what's a representative of Satan's kingdom now? Esau's kingdom. This present day kingdom, this present world, this is the house of the wicked, Satan. The adversary. Adversary to who? YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and his men and his prophets. His nation. That's why in this kingdom, especially in America, who's targeted the worst? Who gets it the worst? So-called minorities. But now these devils are divided against itself now. It's not just Jake. It's the whole nation. It's the whole kingdom. Throw the whole kingdom away. Throw all of America away. How can this place be made better with how people are right now? People are waxing. Lord said people shall wax worse and worse. And that's what you see. It's waxing worse and worse. Yeah, so hold on, go back to the article. So going to that article, so now this Iran speaking about America. So in the lines I just read, it talks about Iran's basically their unity they have, right? And how no matter what the outcome of whatever it is, they're in a firm unity. All right. So, and now I'm gonna read that again. So it says, in contrast, the U.S. administration suffers from internal divisions that weaken its position. Within President Trump's administration, two visions clash. One led by Vice President Vance, who advocates for a diplomatic approach, prioritizing dialogue, and another embraced by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who prefer a hardline stance, relying on pressure and threats. This internal conflict plunges the American tragedy, making it difficult to predict the course of the negotiations or the extent of Washington's commitment to practical solutions. You hear that? You have the vice president and the vice president and the national security advisor, which is another one of the president's right-hand man that's right there on the scene as far as what's going on, as far as foreign things, foreign issues, national security, basically. All right? Says the internal conflict plunges the American tragedy into ambiguity, making it difficult to predict the course of the negotiations or the extent of Washington's commitment to practical solutions. It said they can't even be practical how divided they are. And it says, however, what distinguishes Iran's position is not only its internal cohesion, but also the clarity and remarkable diplomatic activity that transcends the nuclear issue. Iran pursues a multi-dimensional diplomacy aimed at strengthening its regional and international presence. Iranian officials hold intensive meetings with their counterparts from countries such as Russia and China, as well as key regional players like Turkey and Qatar to build economic and political ties. Look at that. Turkey is a NATO country. Whoa. And here it is. You got this is what Iran is doing, but look what America's doing. More and more divided, bringing themselves more into desolation. The present administration, you can't blame Biden for this one. This is all on Trump's watch now. All right, we in like the 4 months. It's about to be 5 months soon. What May 20th? We'll make it 5 months. 4 or 5 months. I'm gonna read that again. So it says, however, what distinguishes Iran's position is not only its internal cohesion, but also the clarity. Oh, speaking of which, before I continue, you also have America and the small hats at odds right now too, because the small hats want to attack too. But they said that Trump's administration, Trump said that now to stand back from that right now. We're not going to attack right now. But ultimately, this is all the will of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. But as observing it goes, that's been the rhetoric right now, is that that America's not going to back that. All right, but anyway, so it says, in contrast, the U.S. administration suffers from internal divisions. What did the Lord say about a kingdom divided? A nation divided, a kingdom divided. America is quote unquote a kingdom. It says, in contrast, the U.S. administration suffers from internal divisions that weaken its position. Within Trump's administration, two visions clash. One led by Vice President. Oh, excuse me, no, that's not the one. This was the one that says, however, what distinguishes Iran's position is not only its internal cohesion, but also the clarity and remarkable diplomatic activity that transcends the nuclear issue. The nuclear issue. The nuclear issue. Iran pursues a multi-dimensional diplomacy aimed at strengthening its regional and international presence. Iranian officials hold intensive meetings with their counterparts from countries such as Russia and China. Now, what I just read the article before. It said what? Russia and Iran officially are made allies now. The ratification of that agreement has already come to fruition. And that was today, April 21st, 2025. To meet with their counterparts from countries such as Russia and China, as well as key regional players like Turkey and Qatar to build economic and political ties. Now, what? Turkey being a NATO country, that's not good for America. You got Turkey and the small hats, they going at odds. I believe with the whole thing going on with Syria, because Turkey's about to take control of Syria, but the small hats said they want control of Syria. All right, but anyway. It says, for instance, the frequent visits by Iran's foreign minister to Asian and European capitals aim to enhance cooperation in energy and trade, bolstering Iran's ability to counter sanctions. Additionally, Iran's active participation in regional organizations such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization underscores that it is not isolated but a dynamic actor in the international system. But America can't say that. You got everybody that ain't fucking with America right now. Or the small hats. About to be the small hats in America. The draw them out. Small hats in America, including their own Edomite kinsmen. It says this diplomatic activity grants Iran strategic flexibility, enabling it to diversify its political and economic options, thereby reducing the impact of American pressures. There you go. thereby reducing the impacts of America's pressures. What is America pressure? They're pressuring them with threats, saying that they're going to attack their nuclear facilities. Even still, even if Trump said they're not going to go on a complete attack, they're saying that there's still a possibility for a slight attack against their nuclear facilities. So he says, in the context of the negotiations, it is evident that Iran adopts a realistic approach to managing expectations, a realistic approach, which they're saying, well, America doesn't have a realistic approach. It says, statements by the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali, urge avoiding excessive optimism or pessimism, emphasizing the need to treat the negotiations as part of routine diplomatic work. To achieve this, Iran seeks to minimize the media frenzy surrounding the talks by controlling the flow of related news, preventing them from becoming an extraordinary event that dominates public opinion. Particularly with Iran, this approach reflects an awareness of the importance of focusing on substance over form, especially amid media campaigns that aim to distort the negotiations' objectives. Now, whose media does that? America. America's media does nothing but distort the narrative. Tell you one thing, but it's a whole nother thing happening. Like, we don't really know what's happening in those meetings. Yeah, they say that, that things were constructed, but yo, you still haven't come to an agreement, and you still talk about attacking them. So it don't seem like nothing changed from where I see. All right? Now, granted, it's all, like I said, it's all the will of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. It's on his watch. But at the end of the day, what we see right now is that this is getting closer and closer and closer. And we know they're just getting a day closer. Each day that passes, we're getting closer to everybody, all these nations getting it in. That's a couple more lines. So it says, the negotiations themselves are a complex process requiring time and patience, which we have to continue to work on ourselves. Excuse me. Iran recognized that achieving an immediate breakthrough is unrealistic, particularly with ongoing tensions and external pressures. Therefore, it emphasized that the United States must abandon the language of threats and sanctions and recognize Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy under the non-levels, which are often used as pressure tactic. Which from where? America, the West. America, the small hats. Because that's the main people talking about it. You heard what Trump said? They can't have nuclear weapons. They just can't have nuclear weapons. But they're going to have nuclear weapons. And they're going to use it. Everybody that got nuclear weapons is going to use their nuclear weapons. All according to what Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI says so. All right? It says the essence of the negotiations, as Tehran emphasizes, should revolve around two objectives: the complete lifting of illegitimate sanctions for the benefit of the Iranian people by Washington, which is what? Talk about America, and the building of confidence in the peaceful nature of the nuclear program by Tehran. However, these goals face obstacles, including the influence of entities like the Zionist regime, which is what? The small hats. Which seeks Zionist regime, it says, which seeks to obstruct any progress alongside divisions within the U.S. administration. Reports such as those published by Axios highlight this challenge, pointing to the tension between the diplomatic faction led by Vance and the hardline faction represented by Rubio and Waltz, which is what? People within the same administration, which in the same government, which is the American government. So Iran is basically saying that America is divided right now. And what did the Lord say about a kingdom divided amongst itself? How shall it stand? America can be considered a kingdom. It's part of the kingdom of it's part of Esau's kingdom. And now you have all these Edomites going against each other. Russia and America. Those are Edomites. These are parts of Esau's kingdom. These are Edomite lands. Edomite inhabited lands. Dukes of Edom. It says, this is the last line. It says, in conclusion, Iranian diplomacy emerges as a model of activity and flexibility in confronting challenges. Through its internal cohesion, extensive external engagement, and realistic management of the negotiations, Iran presents the image of a nation confident in its capabilities. In contrast, the United States faces internal challenges that may limit its effectiveness. The success of the Rome negotiations will depend on the ability of both parties to overcome pressures and divisions and commit to solutions that respect Iran's rights and contribute to regional stability. Now, you think America's going to do that? America don't care about being fair. They asking for something that's low-key honorable. And we know that Esau is not that. Especially the American government, the American Edomite government. These niggas ain't going. Let me read that again. It says Iran presents image of a nation confident in its capabilities. In contrast, the United States faces internal challenges, which is that division, that may limit its effectiveness. The success of the Rome negotiations will depend on the ability of both parties to overcome pressures and divisions and commit to solutions that respect Iran's rights and contribute to regional stability. In Rome, the negotiation will not merely be a dialogue between two nations, but a test of diplomacy's ability to build bridges in an increasingly complex world. So basically, Iran is saying like, yo, we got our shit together. It's all on America. We need to chill, and they basically need to chill with those threats. And that's what you have right now. Now we're at an impasse. Cause now they saying that yo, we got our shit together. We got our allies. We got Russia. We got China. We got this. We got that. But here it is. You got America. That's threatening them, and you ain't got your shit together. So these Iran, they see that. So they like, oh, so while they all fucking around, while they all dicking around, they making their shit stronger. They're making they system stronger. And you got America just getting weaker. And it says what the divisions within America, it said will make their effectiveness weak. So when they come for the negotiations, what are they gonna do? You got the vice presidents wanting one thing, you got the national security advisor wanting another. And that good cop, bad cop ain't gonna work with this whole World War III and nuclear program negotiations thing. But that's why the Lord said, a house divided against itself, how shall it stand? So how's America going to stand? How's America going to continue to, how's it going to even have any, well, they're not going to flourish no more than they already have, but how are they, hypothetically speaking, how will they be able to flourish if they're just all divided right now? And it seems like the division is getting worse and worse and worse for America. And while their ties over there in that part of the world are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And there you have it. And that's how America goes. Canada divide against itself, and then the Lord gonna send a nukes over here. Then the Lord gonna come back and destroy this place. And this place is going. YAHAWASHI gonna come. We're not gonna have to pay insurance. We're not gonna have to pay the bills. Our women are not gonna be against us. These curses about to fall on these devils and these heathens. Matter of fact, hold up. I'm gonna close how much. So this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30, and I'm gonna start at the top. Now it says, we go in the top caption, it says, restoration promise. Restoration to who? To the children of Israel. Getting our redemption, us being delivered up out of here, starting with the elect. All right? That's what's about to that's what's getting closer and closer to happening. All right? So you have this Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. It says, it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which we're in right now in the curse stage, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have driven. And that's what being woken up. So we go into NLT, it says, excuse me, in the future, when you experience all these blessings and curses I have listed for you, and that's in the book of Deuteronomy 28 chapter, and when you are living among the nations to which the Lord your God has exiled you, take to heart all these instructions. That's what the Lord up Israel, starting with the elect, will have to be a part of. And shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. And that's when we're going to be back in the kingdom doing again. When the Lord going to take these curses off his people, which are the Israelites. So we go into NLT of Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 2. It says, if at that time you and your children return to the Lord your God, and if you obey with all your heart and all your soul, all the commands I have given you today. Verse 3, then the Lord thy God, Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God has scattered thee. Now that curse, that punishment is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, where it talks about the Lord said he was going to scatter us amongst all the nations on the earth. And we go into the NLT, it says, then the Lord your God, Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, will store your fortunes. He will have mercy on you and gather you back from all the nations where he has scattered you. Because what, we're scattered right now. That didn't happen to them small hats. They weren't scattered. All right? And if they were scattered and they got back to the land, they weren't gathered. Verse 4, and it says, if any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. In the NLT it says, even though you are banished to the ends of the earth, the Lord your God, Jehovah again. And that also goes into what? Baruch the 4th chapter. We're talking about how the land's going to welcome us back. The land shall mourn no more once the children of Israel return to the land of Israel. Because right now you have fucking devils over there defiling the land. You Idumeans. Verse 5, and it says, and the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And we go into NLT, it says, the Lord your God, Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, will return you to the land that belonged to your ancestors, our forefathers, and you will possess that land again. Then he will make you even more prosperous and numerous than your ancestors. That's in the kingdom to come. And that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting up to be able to be fruitful and multiply in righteousness, to be immortals, to have heavenly bodies. Seeing our enemies go down, and we're seeing our enemies go down every day as we speak. Because that's why they're getting more and more closer to the nuclear war. That's why we're getting more and more closer to World War III. Verse 6, and it says, and the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. The Lord said what? He's going to put his law, statute, commandments in our inward parts. He's going to put his Holy Spirit in us. So that's going to be our automatic, how we automatically live. Because what? We shall sin no more. Because the Lord said when Yahawashi comes back, he's going to purify, starting with the elect, the nation of Israel. And then they shall not know iniquity. They shall not know wickedness. They shall not know fornication. They shall not know idolatry. They're not going to know none of that anymore. They said day and night see. So the Israelites that are destroyed, when they come back in the reincarnation, thy seeds, we all going to be good. And we go into NLT, it says, Deuteronomy 30 and 6, it says, the Lord your God will change your heart and the hearts of all your descendants, so that you will love him with all your heart and soul, and so you may live. Because what? We're not going to sin no more. Because the Lord is going to put his righteousness, his perfectness in us when Yahawashi returns.